I'm here, folks. Welcome to a new episode of Win TV. I'm Denise Rollard Barnes, your publisher of the Washington Informer News and your host. And this weekend marks the Washington Informer's 58th anniversary. Can you believe it? 1964, October 16, 1964 will mark, this Sunday actually will mark our 58th anniversary. And as I said in my editorial this week, for the past 58 years, the Washington Informer has sought to be the watchdog that gives voice to those calling for an end to discrimination and supporting movements demanding equitable civil and human rights. This struggle is far from over, and the Informer staff is committed to speaking the truth to power and covering the stories that matter to our readers. You can read the entire piece if you have already picked up your copy of this week's issue of the Washington Informer. And you know, I always like to show the print issue. We are still here. We're still printing a newspaper 58 years later, started by my late dad, Dr. Calvin W. Rolark. And I'm so excited with the team of reporters, our entire staff that keep this publication going every week. And I'm really even more excited because we have visitors with us yesterday and today. We are involved in a digital transformation lab. And so while you see the paper in print, and also our special issue this month, of course, financial literacy, and this one is focused on financial freedom. And we certainly want everybody to be prepared for this, whatever we're headed for in the new year. Nobody seems to know what to call it, a recession or whatever it's going to be called. But whatever it is, we all need to be prepared for that. And so our guests from the Bloom Lab are helping us as we begin to, or say, continue to segue into a more digital presence. You can read the edition on www.washingtoninformer.com. If you're on Facebook, we want you to go ahead and hit share so your followers can see the broadcast. If you're watching on Twitter, be sure to follow us and we'll follow you back. And please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Washington Informer TV. That's one word, no spaces, Washington Informer TV. So again, I want to say thank you to our visitors, our guests, our support team that are here from Bloom Lab. And as you see us sort of spread our wings digitally, you know who to give credit to, who's helped us or guided us through this transition. So we're going to pick up on some top news topics. You know, the DC Housing Authority, the agency that recently received a blistering federal audit that identified key issues with how the agency is failing the city in managing public housing and not keeping track of its 8,000 housing units, while almost a quarter of them are vacant. DC's Attorney General Carl Racine calls the DC Housing Authority the country's largest slumlord. I have never been able to understand why our government has done such a poor job, not only with housing, education, healthcare. I'm not saying we need to privatize. I'm not going in that direction, but I am grateful to the Attorney General for making sure that he is keeping his eyes on a problem that has existed for years. And it's time to fix that, because there are too many folks who are in need of housing, but they're in need of good, quality, safe housing. So thank you, Attorney General Racine. The first ever urgent care center opened in Ward 8 on Monday. The full-service Cedar Hill Urgent Care Center will provide services for unexpected health issues and will open 7 days a week. The National Capital Planning Commission approved final designs for the 11th Street Bridge, which will connect Anacostia to the Navy Yard. This is going to be a beautiful structure, a pedestrian structure. And so those of us on both sides of the river, I think, are looking forward to this new connection and to make east of the river and the other side of the river more connected to the city, one community. Howard University had 4 swimming and diving team members earn Northeast Conference Weekly Honors for outstanding performance. We are so excited to show you senior Miles Simon from Atlanta, who led the way, earning the NEC Swimmer of the Week, while second-year Bison Jordan Walker of San Antonio acclaimed the lead Diver of the Week. Newcomers Taj Benton from Baltimore and Zilda Nuizi from Columbia, Maryland, took home the conference's Rookie of the Week accolades. And, you know, I always have to give my little 2 cents behind this. You know, we need to learn how to swim, folks. I'm raising my hand. I'm one. You know, I took swimming twice because, you know, Howard required it. Hampton required it. Can I swim? No. So a lot of young people are losing jobs or losing opportunity to have jobs as lifeguards. The summer's coming soon. It's a great skill to have. And we know we lose a lot of young people unnecessarily in drownings. So we need to make sure that our community understands and begins to appreciate the water and how much fun it can be to learn to swim. Well, finally, we send our congratulations to Angie Gates, who has been appointed by the Board of Events DC. Full disclosure, I'm also a member of the board, as the new president and CEO, leaving her position as director of the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment. She is succeeding Greg Odell, who was with the Events DC over a decade, ran the organization, I think did a wonderful job. And so we welcome Angie Gates and looking for great things to come out of Events DC. Our guests today are attorneys Daryl Jones and Barbara Arnwine with the Transformative Justice Coalition. We also have Nike, thank you, Chevy. Nike Robinson from Black Girls Vote. She's going to be here. We have Keisha Brewer, strategic communications expert and CEO of the PR Alliance, a public relations agency that is joining us to promote ProCon, which is a conference for PR professionals. And we deal with a lot of PR professionals. So it's a great conference that she's bringing to the DC area. And Reggie Van Lee, chair of the DC Commission on the Arts and Humanities, is with us to discuss the progress the commission has made towards its equitable funding goals. And finally, we have Donna Henry, an author and entrepreneur, who will be joining us with 7th grader Brandon Shackelford, a student at Two Rivers Academy, who's going to talk about My DC children's books. So we have a great show, folks. We hope that you'll stay with us. We're going to take a break right now and go to Curtis, our local reporter, Curtis Knowles, and I'll be back in just a few minutes.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters. President Biden has issued a pardon to all prior federal offenses of simple marijuana possession, fulfilling a campaign promise of getting rid of possession convictions and loosening the drug's federal classification. Biden's actions grant full, complete, and unconditional pardons to U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents who have committed or been convicted of simple possession violating the Controlled Substances Act. Biden commented saying, quote, "Sending people to prison for possessing marijuana has upended too many lives and incarcerated people for conduct that many states no longer prohibit. Criminal records for marijuana possession have also imposed needless barriers to employment, housing, and educational opportunities." Conspiracy theorist Alex Jones has been ordered to pay $965 million to the families of 8 Sandy Hook shooting victims, as well as an FBI agent who responded to the attack for the suffering he caused them by spreading lies on his platform about the 2012 massacre, a Connecticut jury found on Wednesday. Jones faces liability for defamation, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and violations of the state's Unfair Trade Practices Act for creating a fake narrative that the mass shooting was a hoax. The families claim Jones profited off the lies while they were being harassed and abused by those who believed him. The jury made 15 individual awards that range from $28 million to $120 million, and that the families and the agent will receive separate punitive damages. Chris Geldart, DC's deputy mayor for public safety and justice, has resigned from his post Wednesday after being charged for his part in an altercation outside of a Virginia gym earlier this month. Geldart, who has served in the role since January of 2021, was charged with assault and battery in connection to the incident at Arlington's Gold Gym on October 1st. Mayor Bowser has said his departure was mutually agreed upon and thanked him, saying, quote, "I am proud of the work that we have done together over the last 8 years, and I am immensely grateful to Chris for his service to the city." Renowned civil rights attorney Ben Crump, informally known as Black America's Attorney General, announced Wednesday a class action lawsuit being brought against the U.S. government on behalf of the National Black Farmers Association. The lawsuit comes amid findings that black farmers lost about $326 billion in land in America because of discrimination during the 20th century. During the announcement of the lawsuit at the National Mall in Washington, Crump and the farmers claimed the federal government breached its contract with socially disadvantaged farmers under the American Rescue Plan Act. Crump commented saying, quote, "It was 40 acres and a mule all over again. 150 years later, broken promises that doomed generations of black farmers to become sharecroppers and rob black families of billions in intergenerational wealth."
Well, thank you, Curtis, and we really appreciate that broadcast. And I'm going to tell you, the black farmers have had a long, long struggle. I remember when folks used to bring the mule to the nation's capital just to protest, to walk that mule down Pennsylvania Avenue, to express the challenges that black farmers have faced across this country. So we're going to continue to follow that and hopefully have some of the local farmers on a new upcoming show. But right now we're going to bring on Barbara Arnwine, Esquire, and Daryl Jones, Esquire. We hope they're both with us. Barbara, how are you? Okay, so we need you to unmute yourself because we can't hear you.
Yes, I'm good. We just arrived at Morgan State University.
Oh, wow.
I am so excited. This is the second HBCU we have visited, and it's one of 8 that the Arc of Voter Justice Tour will visit over the next coming days. We've been on the road since Saturday. This is our 7th day, our 14th city that we are visiting. Wow.
So tell me, Barbara and Daryl, thank you for joining us. What is the purpose of this tour? Just in your words, express why this is so important.
Daryl, you want to take that?
Okay, sure, Denise. One of the things with this Arc of Voter Justice tour, what we're out to do is we're out to celebrate the vote, to excite the community, particularly the African American community, Black and Brown community, that it's voting season, that it's election season. So we are out to excite the vote, to excite people, to let them know what's happening. We have, as Barbara just indicated, we just arrived at Morgan State University. I'm in their student center waiting for our folks from the bus to come and join us. It's really an exciting time because what you see happening here across the country, we started in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We traveled all the way over to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We went to Kenosha, Wisconsin. We've been over to Chicago, Illinois. We've been to Cleveland, Ohio. We've gone through Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We've gone through Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, other parts of Ohio. And now we're hitting Maryland. We're starting at Morgan State University, and then we're going over to Annapolis, Maryland. But I tell you, the most exciting part of this, and Barbara will tell you, is the coalition partners that are making this possible, that are making this happening. Because what we have is we have the National Coalition of Concerned Black Men that's on board, Black Voters Matter that's on board, of course, the Transformative Justice Coalition, the Rainbow Push Coalition, who just really knocked it out of the park as we were in Chicago with Reverend Jesse Jackson, the League of Women Voter, Hip Hop Caucus, who have been involved in pushing really heavily to be certain that we have our young voters, our young Black voters on board, the African American Policy Forum. And I know Barbara's going to talk to you about the book giveaway and the relationship, the interrelationship between the national ban on books and public education and voting rights. And we also have with us our National Newspaper Publishers Association, which is a partner here. And let me tell you, it's just been an exciting journey, and the excitement that's building as we go across this country to build the excitement for this midterm election is just incredible. Am I right, Barbara?
Absolutely.
And Barbara, while you give your response, can you talk a little bit about what the reception has been? How people have received you all as you've gone from city to city?
It has been fabulous. People are honking at us on the freeway just when they see the buses with John Lewis and Vote.
How many buses?
We have two big buses, and
okay.
We have a hoop bus, and we have a star bus. So we have 4 buses. And when Black Voters Matters join us, we have 5, 6. So we are so excited, and communities are just shocked. When we went through Milwaukee, I'm telling you, people came out, and you could see the shock on their face that we came to their community to say, please vote. And you could see the joy that would then take over, and realizing we were there for them, and we weren't there for a candidate, we weren't there for a party, we were there because Black votes matter. We want Black people to vote, and we want people to get these incredible books that these silly state legislatures have been banning, trying to suppress and erase our Black history. Are you kidding me? The true nature of the racial history of this nation.
So when you all set out actually to establish this tour, essentially, what is your goal? How will you know once you've reached your destination, and you can tell me where that is, your final destination? What is it that you hope to achieve that will determine whether you've been successful or not?
Well, I think you're just as upset as we are at some of the polling data that says in some Black communities, less than 50% of the people knew a month ago that there was a November 8th election. We are out there to change that. We want people to never be able to say they had no idea there was an election on November 9th. We want people to know in advance that there is an election and that your vote counts, that you need to vote in the midterm election. Don't only vote in presidentials. Your midterms count. Your local elections, the governor, the Senate, right now, every congressperson is up for re-election. If you care about what the Congress is doing, you should be absolutely voting if you care what's going on in the House of Representatives. There's so much to say to people. We also are making clear school board elections matter. It's school boards that have been banning these books. It's state legislatures that have been banning books and banning Black history. We must do everything we can to alert our voters, make sure they're activated, make sure they participate in this upcoming election, November 8th. 2022. This year, folks, vote.
So
And
go ahead, Daryl. Go ahead.
Denise, one of the interesting things, when you ask about, what is our goal? How do we know if we've reached our goal? This is the thing. We know that in 2020, that it was predicted that because of the pandemic, that African American voters were not going to come out, they were not going to participate. And Transformative Justice Coalition, along with our partner organizations, many of whom I've just named earlier, we went into communities in Georgia, and particularly throughout the runoff election, to be certain that folks were aware and were coming out and had access to ballot boxes to be able to vote. So when we talk about how do we know, whether or not we're being successful, we know when we see the numbers that come out. We know that for this 2022 election, that they are predicting that this will be a very, very low Black millennial turnout. Again, a very, very low Black millennial turnout. But let me tell you, what we're doing is we're going into and we're hitting the areas where Black millennials are. That's why we're hitting the HBCUs. That's why we're here at Morgan State University. Be certain that the students have access, know, and get out and vote. So when you ask us how do we measure our success, we measure our success when we see the numbers of Black millennials and Black and brown students and Black and brown voters that come out to vote during this midterm election.
I'm just wondering along the path, and I think that's fantastic, and just shows kind of what you all have been doing to even gear up for this tour. But have you run across any stories that just really showed why this was important? I mean, people you've talked to, situations you've seen. Is there any anecdotal piece that you might be able to share with us?
Oh my goodness, there's too many. I have been moved by when we had our 6 block long votercade in Milwaukee. People just stood out. They clapped. They gave the power fist. They hollered. And we were able to register voters in Minneapolis, register voters in Milwaukee. We were able to take people to the polls in Chicago. What I really love about this is that people are being activated, that people have forgotten. It's been awesome to see the new voters who never voted before join, and register. What we want to happen here is that we not only are trying to register voters, but we also are saying to those voters who are registered, make sure you vote. So we're teaching people to verify their registration status. We're helping them to know where their polling site is. We're helping them to know who the local organizations are that they can connect, because we're working with all of them. And there are amazing groups out there doing this every day, but this tour gives it a boost by making the issue so visible. And that's what we're doing, and that's why it's exciting, and that's why it's needed. This is ambitious. People told us it couldn't be done, but hey, when you're talking to the African American Policy Forum and Kimberly Crenshaw, when you're talking to TJC and Daryl and Barbara, you can't tell us what can't be done.
Exactly. I know that we're just weeks away from, as you said, the midterm elections. And I know that once we get through that, it's almost like your work gears up again. You're not winding down, you're really gearing up. And so can you talk about, where you all see yourselves right after the November primary, the November 8th, not primary, I'm sorry, midterms. Where does the work go from there? Daryl?
Oh my goodness. The work just starts beginning after the general election, after November the 8th, because then you have to start getting ready for 2024. You have another election that's right on the heels of this. So, we start by focusing on the right now. And we encourage everyone to make a plan to vote and vote the plan that you're making. Whether you're going to vote in person on election day, if you're going to vote early in person, do that, make that plan, or if you're going to vote by mail, make those plans. We tell you to make those plans because we never know what's going to come up in your way to interfere with your ability to vote. So you got to have a plan for what you're going to do. You also have to be prepared if you happen to go to vote and for whatever reason, you've been purged from the polls. Well, you need to give yourself time to be able to get registered, particularly in the state of Maryland or in the District of Columbia, where you have the same day registration that may be available. You need to be certain that you're aware of what to do. So when you ask, where do we go from here? After we are successful at registering as many people and having as many people exercise that right to vote as we can after November the 8th, we immediately start on the process of electrifying and getting people excited about 2024, being certain they're checking up on their voting status, their voting registration, and where they are supposed to vote. We'll be traveling across this country to be certain that that happens. So that's where we go from here.
So my last question, because I'm going to ask another, where do we go from here, which is more, where do you go from Morgan State? What's your next stop?
Our next stop is Annapolis.
Okay.
Get ready at 3:00 today. Then get ready for this. We'll be in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. We'll be
Okay.
voting from 10 to 12. And then we have a celebration village at People's Congregational Church. Then we're going over to, and we also tomorrow will be in Loudoun County. Yes, we can be in two places at once.
You folks are rolling.
Yes, because we're rolling. I also just want people to know that if you believe that Black Lives Matters, then you'll be out here voting because you want to vote for your sheriff, you want to vote for your clerk of court, you want to vote for your district attorney, you want to vote for your state attorney general. You will be out here voting because everything that governs our lives is a result of government. And you got to be involved, and don't be involved just voting, be involved 365 days a week. Go to those school board meetings, go to those city council meetings, be
Thank you.
involved.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I'm just going to say, and my little 2 cents at the end, the next time we do one of these tours, I think we need to stress that the district put on a DC statehood bus that follows you all. So we make sure that's on everybody's agenda because they need to roll with you guys, right?
We are ready for that. We
All
are
right.
ready for that. And,
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you,
so
Daryl.
much for
We hope to see you
us.
tomorrow. Okay. All righty. We're going to move on. Boy, and don't forget, I guess, let's say Howard University and the church over on 13th Street, People's Congregational Church, tomorrow, I guess, around noon. So if you're out, drop on by, give them a wave, give them support for what they're doing to promote voting rights. We want to bring on now Keisha Brewer, who is the CEO and lead strategist at PR Alliance. Boy, it's a lot of energy I just had on that call, Keisha.
Yes, I love it though.
And you do PR, so you know how important it is for folks to go. And I know you only have a couple minutes. I am so sorry, but
that's okay.
They're out there on the road. But talk about the conference that you have that's coming up on October the 29th.
Yes, I'm super excited for it. So the conference that I have coming up is called ProCon, and ProCon is with a capital PR because it is dedicated for PR and communications professionals. And this is the most authentic space for PR and communications professionals to connect, learn, and grow. And I have an emphasis on authentic because a lot of times we all go to conferences and we leave and we feel motivated and inspired because we're listening to a lot of people's success stories and how they were able to do so well. But I want this to be an atmosphere where people also feel comfortable to talk about the mistakes they've had, the challenges, and then people can learn from that as well. I want people to come and feel comfortable that they can lay even their most ugliest parts of business on the table, and we can come together to work together to figure it out.
So is there a cost for this, Keisha?
Yes, there is. We have 3 ticket levels. The VIP is already sold out. However, you will still get the same amount of value with the general admission tickets as well.
Okay. And we have the website there, so we can put that up. And the reason I asked, though, is because, now that churches are back in, a lot of them are back into, in-person services. And a lot of churches now need to do PR, right? Because they're trying to get people back into those sanctuaries. Yeah. And so would this be an opportunity? It just kind of came to me for that person has been identified as, you are the one that we want to do the PR. Is there something that they can get out of this as well?
Absolutely. So while this is a space where public relations and communications professionals are dedicated to learn and grow, this is also a great space with, hey, if you're looking for a public relations or communication specialist, this is no better place to find one than here, right?
Wonderful.
And so anyone can come out. And I think what's great about if you do choose to come out, even if you're not in any of those fields, is that you'll have a better understanding of the work that we do and how we can work with you and what we actually implement, what kind of strategies strategies and the things we go through in order to bring awareness to a lot of these brands and businesses. So I think any level of additional understanding of our function is great for anyone who's looking to work with us.
And if you could do an elevator speech explanation of what a PR professional does,
Yes.
how would you describe it?
Yes, absolutely. So the funny part is that I normally describe it by saying what it's not, because a lot of times when we are looked at as public relations professionals, they actually relate us to marketing. And while we're all in the form of communicating your story and communicating your brand and business in different ways, the end goal is very different. So public relations and marketing professionals are different because marketing is all attached to sales and profit, while public relations is attached to awareness, visibility, and credibility. So our main function for public relations is to be able to make sure that your story is told in the media. And now we have other platforms to utilize, like social media, like speaking engagements, right? Back in the day, it was just to the media because that was the main platform that they had. But now we have a lot of other channels where we can help get your story out there, but for the same goal: visibility, awareness, and credibility. Whereas with marketing, their goal is always going to be sales, profit, numbers. So that's the difference. That's kind of how I explain it.
That's fantastic. I missed the floor I was going to because I was so engaged about what you were saying. So forget the elevator. But anyway, no, this is wonderful. I'm really glad you had a few minutes to come and talk with us about the conference. And I think we need to talk about this a little bit more. At another time, because I think that it's what I think, but there are organizations out there that need you all. And so whatever we can do to help to promote what you all do so that you all can help to promote those organizations. Pretty soon people are going to be looking for Black-owned businesses to go to, Kwanzaa's come, all kinds of stuff. And they need to know who can help them to get their message out. So I'm fantastic for what you're doing, and have a great conference. And we look forward to talking to you some more.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Denise. This was a wonderful platform. I was tuning into the interviews before, so thank you so much.
All righty. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Thank you. We're going to move now to Nakidra, who is the founder of Black Girls Vote, a grassroots nonpartisan organization representing the national and international concerns of women. So welcome to Win TV, Nike. Are you here?
Yes, I am here. How are you, Denise?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. And I hope you are as well.
I am. I'm going to apologize in advance if you hear my newborn baby in the background. That is him. As Black women, we're all often multitasking, and I'm a new mom, a first-time mom.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Denise. It is.
And who's part of the show? What's his name?
His name is Niles.
Niles. Okay.
Like the river, but spelled with a Y.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. Well, congratulations to you. And I know pretty soon he'll be a part of this conversation. So
absolutely.
So tell us now, you launched Black Girls Vote. Tell us about the history. I just want you to tell us about the history of Black Girls Vote.
We launched Black Girls Vote on November 30th, 2015. And to some people may hear November 30th as a regular date, but November 30th is the birthday of the late, great Shirley Chisholm. And Shirley Chisholm, as we know, is the first Black woman elected into Congress from Brooklyn, New York, who was, someone who was passionate about her community and, the first Black woman to go in Congress. People hear about Hillary Clinton running for president, but there was a Shirley Chisholm who also ran for president of the United States. So we thought it was very important not only to launch such an organization on her birthday, but then also to continue to uplift her name. So we were founded on the birthday of Shirley Chisholm, and it's a part of our amazing story.
And you're using the word we and our. Who else is a part of Black Girls Vote?
So we are a community. We're a grassroots organization. We are based in Baltimore, but since launching in 2015, we've been able to expand nationally. We have collegiate chapters across the country. Our inaugural chapter, so it was so great to hear Barbara talk about headed to Morgan. Our inaugural Black Girls Vote chapter is at Morgan State University. That was launched in 2018. Since then, we have chapters at American University, Howard University, Bowie State University, and North Carolina A&T University. But our goal is to continue to expand because there's so many young Black girls who are on these college campuses, and not only just on college campuses, but are really interested, whether it's high schools, and saying, hey, we want a Black Girls Vote chapter so we can continue to engage, educate, and empower young Black women to get involved in the political process. But then we also have members all over the country who are poured into Black Girls Vote, who pay their membership dues, who are part of just our community. So we are a community of Black women who are out encouraging and getting folks educated about voting. Because as Barbara said, this is a midterm election. There's so much happening, whether it's locally, statewide, federally, and we want to make sure people are excited about the election. As we like to say, voting is a vibe. So let's get out and vote and let's have a good time doing it.
So is there an agenda? Does Black Girls Vote really espouse, I mean, we need to vote because we need to get this passed. We need to get focused on this. What are some of the issues that Black Girls Vote focuses on?
Yeah, so we do have a legislative agenda. Most recently, in Maryland, and because we are primarily based in Maryland, we supported over 30 pieces of legislation where we had, and it's on our website, blackgirlsvote.com, and you can go and see our legislative agenda. But it really supported issues around education, economics, healthcare, and voting rights. So anything around those alleys, of course, there are hundreds of bills, if not thousands, that go through each legislative session. So it's partnering with our legislators to saying, hey, we'll testify on this bill. We'll write a letter of support. If need be, we'll come to Annapolis. Times we've taken students to Annapolis, and we've gone to Annapolis to testify, whether it's access to health care, abortion, breast cancer awareness, funding for that. We are really passionate about not just telling people to vote, but once you tie in the vote into how it impacts them daily, as we like to say, we like to meet people where they are. And once they make the connection, it's like, oh, this is why I should vote. We've taken students, high school students, to City Hall, having them meet with the mayor, having them meet with the police commissioner. And so things like that, it really, really connects it, and it connects to that. And so not only we talk about the issues, but more so, how does this issue impact you directly? And how does it impact your family when we get access to young people? And that opens up a world of difference. But yes.
Right. I know we're short on time, but I also wanted to ask, because one of the big statistics that we've been hearing a lot of that's very troubling, one is the increased number of Black women and girls that are being incarcerated. And then two, now that we have laws that are changing, and women are now coming home to families, with children that they couldn't raise because they were away. Have you all looked at that issue as well as a legislative issue?
So we've looked at it, but that's not one of the issues we have really, really dug deep into. However, what's really, really important is we like allies, and there are so many other great women organizations who are in this space, who've done the research, who've done the data, who would like for us to come on as an ally to support those legislative policies. And that's what's really cool about this generation in time. We have more access to information, groups who are doing things. So for us, that's not something we've said we've been on the forefront of, but we do talk about the penalization of the, criminalization of Black girls, right? But as far as those returning citizens coming home, and how can we support them? Whether it's voting rights, yes, but not more so as far as getting the resources and, to, make them, as they re-enter into society. But we would love to continue to partner with other organizations who are doing that work so that we can support them and support these Black women who are coming home, who are taking care of Black babies, which ultimately impacts Black families.
Oh, I love it. And so the collaboration, I think, is key. Yes. And it sounds like you all do a lot of that.
Oh my God, it's so critical. Yeah. We would not be the organization we are without collaborating with other organizations, because we can't do it all. For instance, we partner with Color Vision, another organization where we hosted a big brunch in DC, over 200 women, uplifting these Black women who are doing work in politics and policy and communications, who are also passing the torch to the next generation of Black girls. But how do we continue to uplift? Who knows Denise Barnes, right? And we know that you have your sorority, your circle of friends and women who support you. But there are other young Black girls who need to know you and say, hey, I would love for you to mentor me, and the work that you're doing, giving organizations like myself a platform. That's so critical in collaboration and working with one another.
Well, I love it. Again, I think it's important. I'm glad that you did this. I'm glad you did it in honor of Shirley Chisholm, because we've got to continue to raise her name. And there are others, of course. And I know that you all probably have your what is it, your walk of stars of Black women who really contributed to this country. So keep up the great work.
Thank you.
And and the work, not only work you're doing publicly, but work you're doing at home of raising a strong Black male. So we support you in that as well.
Thank you so much, Denise. And I appreciate you giving me the platform, and Black Girls Vote, Color Vision, other organizations who are doing the work. And
wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon. Thank you. Gosh, it seems like we're really moving fast, but it's important because there's so much going on in our community, and we need to know who is making it happen and to get those questions asked. And many of you all know my next guest, Reggie Van Lee. But if you don't, I'm introducing him as chair of the Commission on Arts and it was the DC Arts Commission. Yeah, Arts and Humanities. Thank you, Sherry. There's a little typo here, Reggie. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
No, but that's okay. But I mean, I've observed you over the years. I don't know, we cross paths and I kind of see you from a distance and nod or what have you. But, I know that you have really put an imprint on art, not only locally, but nationally and maybe even globally. And so first, on behalf of our community, I want to say thank you for the work that you've been doing and how you found time to be chair of the DC Arts Commission, so Arts and Humanities Commission. So welcome to WIN TV. Tell us who Reggie Van Lee is.
Well, Reggie Van Lee is a transformed artist into business person and trying to be a really patron of the arts. I've seen the power of the transformation of the arts in my life, starting out as a dancer and then finding my way to business, but appreciating how my experience in the arts made me a better person, made me a more poised person, made me a more disciplined person, gave me more stamina. And there's so many kids and adults that don't get that opportunity. And so I want to be that person that helps people get the opportunity that I was blessed to have been given.
That's wonderful. And now you're here with the commission and actually on the show to talk about grants. There's been a history with the DC Arts Commission and who gets grants, right? And I know that you all came on, sort of blockbusters. You're going to kind of break down these walls and make sure more people in the community have access to the resources that you all provide. So tell me about how, you have the grants, how they're disseminated, and what your real goal is.
Well, my goal is to make sure that every resident of Washington, D.C. has the opportunity to experience the arts in some form or fashion, as an artist, as an audience member, as a participant in some sort of way, to see how the arts can transform their lives. And that comes through grants to artists as individuals and grants to arts organizations. And to recognize that art, there's no such thing as high art and low art. All art is art. And we want all those sort of art forms across the country to be reflected in the programs that we present at the Arts Commission. So we fund individuals as well as arts organizations. And this year, we have the largest budget of the 53-year history of this Arts Commission, a $45 million budget to provide funding to arts organizations and artists across Washington, D.C.
So, I mean, I know you've probably thought of, it's important for people that do this to know that they could qualify for a grant if they just recognize that this is potentially a program that supports the arts. I don't know, is there anything that comes to mind that you think that people should apply for but just haven't because they didn't think they qualified?
Well, there's so many categories that we give funding out in. If you go to our website, the DC Arts and Humanities Commission, dc.arts.gov, you'll see the range, everything from field trips to performances to art installations. All of these are things that we provide through the Arts Commission. So as opposed to me trying to enumerate them, I would invite people, let's go to the website and see what's there. But then call us, because we want to work with organizations and artists that may not understand exactly where I fit in. I may need a little help in filling out the application. I may have had some issues in the past, and we want to not be that passive agency that you have to come to us. We want to be that active agency that comes out to the community. We're out in the community more and more. We're working with people to help them understand what their opportunities are and how they can apply for grants. And Art All Night is something that we have funded for many years. And I'm surprised at the number of people in DC that still don't even know about Art All Night, but know that the Arts Commission is behind Art All Night, and it is about really showcasing the range of arts across this city. Fashion shows, artists doing live presentations, bands playing, people dancing, wrestling matches. I mean, all of these things were things in Art All Night this past year, and I spent the full day traveling across about half of the 20+ locations for Art All Night. This is what the Arts Commission is here for, but we need you to come to us and ask the questions, and we can answer them.
Do you think that there's one thing in the application process, if you could just get people past this in preparation for applying, they would have much more success? Is it the the 501c3? Is it their board of directors? Is it a budget issue? And what you all might be helping them with to make sure that they're successful?
Well, believe it or not, and this may sound trite, the biggest obstacle is people's fear around applying. Fear that they won't get accepted, fear that it's going to take time, that it's not worth the time to fill out the application. So we need them to get beyond that and engage with us. But then there are some restrictions we have. There's the clean hands restriction that wants to make sure you don't have taxes due and that sort of thing. But we can work with you so that you can get on a payment plan around the clean hands. And though you may not have paid off the taxes, if you have an established payment plan, then you can qualify. In the past, the application has been 20 pages long. We've shortened it significantly. In the past, we've asked questions about criminal records. We've taken that off the application. So there are many people who applied in the past and think it's the same. Things have changed. Things have gotten better. We've lessened those restrictions that didn't make sense and focus on that stuff which is most important.
Boy, all of that, I mean, really, my heart is open. I'm just like, this is fantastic to hear all this great news. And yeah, I've heard people who I've recommended that they apply for grants and they just said, no, I'm not going to get it. Like you said, it's that fear or that denial and not knowing that their program is worthy, although they're sitting around saying we're doing a great job, but nobody will give us any money. Right?
Well, my strategy in life has always been, you got to tell me no 5 different times in 3 different ways. And then no still means maybe. And we need people to have that attitude. We really are here to serve our constituents, but help us help you by being aggressive with us and coming and making sure we work with you to ensure you have the best application in the categories that work the most for you. And I've had people in this last year when we've increased the funding to organizations that historically never got funding and said, thank God, the money you gave us helped us to hire this person, helped us to build our capacity, helped us to do fundraising as we couldn't before. So we want to help organizations, not just to feed them with fish, but teach them how to fish.
Reggie Van Lee, thank you so very much for being with us. We have the website up, dcarts.dc.gov. We hope that folks will go out there and apply for those grants. We want you to feel like you've been successful in this position. So we're going to do our part to try to support that. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All righty. Have a good one.
Take care.
Okay. So where's the money? dcartsdc.com. Go get it. It's out there.gov. Thank you, Sherry, because I'm about to send you to the wrong place. dcarts.dc.gov. You've heard the message. There's help for you. There's more money than there's ever been that's available for arts programs. If you don't have one and you know somebody else who does, and you think they're doing such a great job that they need to go and get a grant, go get some funding, tell them where to go. dcarts.dc.gov. Moving down to our last guest, and I'm really excited to see Donna Henry and also a young man that she's brought with her, Brandon. If we can get Brandon back on, that'll be great. I know Brandon is moving with his mom someplace. He's a 7th grader, but at Two Rivers Academy. But Donna, we are, you've gotten a little publicity on these books that you've done. So we didn't want to be the last ones to not share with our viewers these children's books on DC culture and history. So welcome to WIN TV.
Thank you. Thank you, Denise.
And we've gone a long way from Soup Up. I mean, are you still doing the gourmet soup?
I have an amazing team. So yes, we're still doing the gourmet soups.
Okay. Yeah, I used to love to come over at Union Market where you all were and get that great soup, especially this is soup season, right?
We're coming up on soup season, yeah.
So tell us about, you're in Ward 4, you're the author of these series of children's books. Let's talk about, what they are and why you decided to invest your time in this.
Yeah. So, wow. There are 4 books that I've written. The series actually is 8 books, but I've completed 4 so far. So I'm so happy to have heard your segment before from Mr. Van Lee. I will definitely reach out to them in the future. The 4 books that I've written so far is that My DC, Her Story, My DC, My Go-Go, meet my mayors, and DC's Superheroes, our mayor, and that's a comic strip on the mayors. I thought that um,
Brandon's got a lot of stuff going. Oh, there we go. Okay, we
yeah,
muted him. Thank you. Okay, all right. Go
I
ahead. Go ahead, Dana.
I thought that the young people in DC really didn't know much about the district, didn't know about the culture, didn't know about the history, didn't know about even about the mayors, and what they have done to improve their lives, to help their lives, their family lives. And so, you know, it took me 4 years. People who came into the soup shop when I was there on weekends, I usually am there on Saturdays, and just talking to Washingtonians and talking to visitors and finding out from them about the city. You know, what do they know? What do they not know? What do they think? To realize that many people who are not from the city, who are visitors to the city, knows more about DC than the people who actually live here. And that was alarming to me. Um, I remember asking a group of young African American girls who was the current mayor, and one blurted out Michelle Obama. And of course, she caught herself and was like, "Oh no, no, my bad, my bad." But those things were information like that, or misinformation, or just not knowing, made me think, okay, maybe there's something there. Maybe I need to do something. And of course, I did something, and I had amazing illustrators. I went Washington illustrators from Washington D.C., from China, from New Zealand. I mean, I just basically contacted from Africa, from the Caribbean. Um,
Wonderful.
yeah, just to get their talents, get them a part of my team, and say, okay, yeah, we're going to do this. So yeah, the series consists of 8 books, and I've done 4 so far.
Wonderful. You know, I was just going to jump in really quickly because I remember several years ago, I guess I'm telling my age, but they do or did teach a DC history course in DC public schools. I'm not sure which grade. It used to be, I think, 8th. I'm not sure which grade it is now. And Brandon may know as he comes through. But city, what is it? City of Magnificent something. I had a copy of it. It was a really good book. It hasn't been updated. The author died many years ago. So I think this is a bite-sized version of what a series of what that book or that course would have taught if it's still in existence. And now you're making me want to go and check out. Do they still teach DC history?
Well, I've asked students, and they've said, I've gotten answers. Well, I don't know. I don't think so. Well, not that much. They don't go into it in great details. So you get very, very varied answers.
Yeah.
And I'm just shocked about it, because the city is so amazing. It has such rich history that I'm thinking it should be taught in schools. And Brandon can speak on this more than
So I
I.
want you to introduce Brandon Shackelford, the 7th grader at Two Rivers Academy. Tell me who Brandon is, Donna. Introduce Brandon for us.
Well, Brandon is a young man who he comes into my soup shop a lot, and he comes with his uncles. He absolutely loves my soups, and he is one of the young people who I engaged and asked about this book. So he and his uncle his uncle Cole is a part of my team, and they were very instrumental in helping me conceptualize this book, and just feeding me the information and the energy that I needed to create the books, because Brandon can talk to you, he can tell you we're not taught this in schools,
So,
and he wants to learn.
so Brandon, you there?
Yes, yes.
Thank you for joining us. And so you're 7th grader, I keep saying it, at Two Rivers Academy. Why are you so interested in DC history?
Well, why I'm so interested in DC history is because, there's people out there that literally have no idea the history of the city they were born and just raised in, And I think that it's just very interesting to know, like, people that were born and raised in Washington D.C. don't really know about it. And I would like to learn about Washington D.C. and not be like one of those people.
So, I mean, I'm not sure if you know what you want to do when you grow up. You sound very
Yeah.
mature right now, but and it sounds like I see a little public service, politician, something in there. But tell me, what does Brandon want to do, which makes these books important for you right now?
Well, what I want to be, well, okay, so I want to be a surgeon because my great grandfather was a surgeon and my grandfather is a doctor, and like I just want to continue the legacy of the Shackelford family so we can make Washington D.C. a better place.
And did they practice medicine here?
Yes, they did. They went
Okay.
to yes.
Well, you were going to say they went where?
They went to Howard University.
I just had to get you to say that. You know, this is a big HU city, and people want to be proud of Howard, and to know that your dad and your grandfather came through Howard, and who knows, you
My
may be
my
there as
my
well.
my
Was
great
it?
grandfather and my grandfather.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Both. That's wonderful. That's fantastic. So, Donna, is Brandon's age group who the books are catered to? What's the age group?
Well, Brandon is 11, 12. He's 12 years old. So, but the My DC My Go Go book, the protagonist of it is 8, 9, and the My DC Her Story book, it's more advanced. So I would say that you're looking at from age 8 to 17.
Okay.
And to be honest, Denise, I have parents who come visit me at Soup Up and they've said, "Oh my God, there are things about this I did not know. I've read this book. I did not know that there's a conversation going on between parents and child, where they're both learning and they're both teaching each other and they're both excited and just asking questions. That whole idea of oral tradition is being carried down where, for example, the Meet the Mayors, many of the people, I, I have to step back and say that the information that I got that informed the book, the content of the book, came from people who came into the city. So these are people who were alive when Washington, for example, was the mayor, when he was the mayor commissioner, and then he became the mayor. And then, so these are people who lived, who were in Washington, D.C., who experienced it, who went through the summer youth program that Barry created, who was a part of the Mount Pleasant riots that, during Pratt's tenure, and up to people who were with the Black Lives Matters and the insurrection and all the stuff that happened here.
But what
So
I like is that you've done this from a young person's perspective to make them understand and appreciate the history. How can people get copies of the book?
they can go to my website, which is talesbydonnahenry.com, and they can order the book. It will be also on Amazon soon. And of course, it will be at Soup Up. And I'm looking at boutique stores and bookshops locally to see if I could get it in there. And
Okay,
hopefully
and
libraries.
where's Soup Up located?
709 Kennedy Street Northwest, Washington.
Wonderful. Oh, so do you have a standalone now? Is that what you've done? You've moved out of the out of the stands into a standalone. Is that what you've done? Good for you. Good for you. So yeah, come by, get a good cup of soup and some copies of the book, and you might even get a chance to meet Brandon, huh?
Yes, he may be there on a Saturday.
All right. Well, I want to thank both of you all for being with us today. Went by really quickly, but I'm glad we were able to take some time to meet Brandon, to kind of follow your career. We're going to do that, and Donna, follow you as well. And we appreciate the fact that you've thought enough about DC history and culture to share it with an audience that needs to know about it. So wish you great success.
Thank you.
All righty. See you, Brandon.
Bye.
All righty. Bye-bye. So this brings us to the end of another edition of Win TV. We hope that you've enjoyed watching the show. We look forward to doing this again next week. Enjoy the weekend. Rain is not in the forecast this weekend, but so we want you to get out and have some fun. Go up and get some soup. And again, this is our 58th anniversary. I am so honored to have made it to this point, and with your support, the Washington Informer will continue to serve this community in the best way that we can. We're going to close out with a couple of comments from our staff, and then I will see you next week. Have a great weekend.
So the Washington Informer celebrates 58 years of being in existence on October 16th. 58 years checks a lot of boxes, you know, African-American business, women-owned business, news media business, small business, so forth and so on. And I think that our importance is, you know, as I stated earlier, we were started in 1964 during the Civil Rights era. And it's still our mission today to report the news for African Americans, the African American community. As long as we keep informing our community in areas like that, I think that we'll be relevant and be successful.
The Washington Informer, again, is a reflection of the community. So as we have new activists, new people entering in the fields that impact our lives, politics, community service, all of the above, we are reporting on what the new activists, if you will, and the new griots are concerned about, you know, the things that impact our lives. So we've been able to be fluid and been able to pivot to not just report to people, but talk about stories that are impactful to them, which leads to higher engagement right now.
All right. Thank you so. Oh, am I out?